What's cracking, lads? Welcome to L Done Day Trading, my YouTube channel. My name's Kenneth. Let's get right into it. So, a little bit about myself. I'm a mechanical engineer at VT, pretty much going into my senior year, and I'm also a day trader. So, when I was a senior in high school, just like most of us, we discovered the stock market and we lost a lot of money. So, when I was a senior, I was trading on Robinhood, trading options, naked calls, naked puts, no experience, no knowledge, nothing but losses, right? So, as any senior would that was losing money on the stock market, I took a really big break. And I got into stuff like poker and went to college and, was focusing on school. So, 4 years went by and I did nothing. And just this summer, um, I got back into the stock market and I got a mentor and I got into futures. And here I am today. So, let's just dive right into it. You know, I got into futures because options, leave a comment down below if you like options, but me personally, I just hated the complexity of options. I hated how the price action didn't relate directly to the price of the premium. All the variables that went into it. It was just too much for somebody that was too inexperienced in the stock market. And that's why I really love futures and I really love the mentor I got for the month for the few weeks that I had him because he completely veered my path of trading and I feel he's put me on the right path. So how do I trade futures? I use Top Step. I use a funded account, and that's also thanks to him. Because if any of you are starting out, the best piece of advice I can give you is to use a funded account. It absolutely limits your risk while giving you the maximum experience possible. So let me show you what I mean. So this is an example of a funded account, Top Step. I recommend everybody to use this if they're trying to get into trading futures because it's for trading futures. And this is my whole progress so far. You know, I'm not making YouTube videos because I'm making bank and I want you guys to see how I'm making money. No, this is not one of those channels. I'm probably just like a lot of you, except I want everybody to see my progress. This is my first funded account, so I did blow up one or two other ones, but they were only $50 each. So again, limiting my risk while getting multiple days of trading. And this is my progress so far on this funded account. So as you guys can tell, first day was not very good, but I did had a really good week, right? So I had a pretty good string of days, and in my mind, I thought I was doing everything right, and I thought I was making really good progress. But as you guys can tell, day 10, it got to my head. And so I took a few days and I took a break. And I was really glad for it because first, it made me realize I want to make a YouTube channel. And second, I was able to go back and not only backtest my strategy, but backtest my mentality. And I realized that, especially through watching other YouTubers like Justin Werlein, like everybody needs to go watch Justin Werlein if they want to learn ICT or trading futures. He is by far the best. But I realized that, you know, just because you're going green on a day doesn't mean you're doing something right. And just because you're going red on a day doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. And so I think I profited too many days. And every time I profited, I wanted to always push the limit, push the limit. And that's why this day was so bad. I lost $1,000 in that day. And it was because I was just pushing it. And, you know, that happens. That's necessary for the learning, right? And I'm glad I did that because now I really understand my limits on this funded account. I understand, how I should pace myself, how I should continue forward. And I understood I needed to go back and, rehash my strategies. And if you guys aren't, you know, taking notes of every day of your trading and your mentality, you're doing something really, really wrong. Because I just want to quickly show you guys how many notes I have taken since starting. These are all sticky notes full of every single day, every single thought. So, if you guys want to pause and really read through all of those, that's, on you. But one thing I really love about trading as well is that, I can sit here and I can show you every single strategy I have, every single thing I do, just like someone like Justin would. And you can sit down and try to copy everything, but the stock market looks so different every day that it's just impossible to see someone's strategy and say, oh, I'm going to try doing this. That's why I love it so much, because I had to take those days to look back, even on someone's strategy that works, and say, how can I fit this to me? How can I make this good for me? And so that's what really I wanted to make this YouTube channel for, because I want to have some way of having accountability and being able to back test myself and say, like, is what I'm doing really working? Because like I said, it's not just based on if you're going positive or negative on the day, right? So this is my progress so far. I'm not profitable yet, right? And look how happy I am to be making a video. It's because I know I'm progressing. I know I'm getting there, right? So hopefully these YouTube videos mostly consist of me backtesting my last day of trading. Maybe I'll eventually do videos of me trading live. And you guys can see how I think, how I go through it. But for this very first video, I'm gonna try to keep it nice and short. I'm gonna try to just go over my last trade and what I thought, what was going through my head, and just through the process of the video, really find out, was this a good trade or not. So I'm gonna leave everything I traded on yesterday just for the sake of time. But what I essentially did yesterday is I started on the 1 hour, right? And if you guys don't use both NQ and ES, that's okay. But I've been recently getting into SMTs, so I'm trying to get better at using two charts at once. But in reality, I've really only been using one chart most of the time. I mean, I only just started trading again after those 4 years, like late May. So I have not really been trading more than a month and a half. But I recognize what the pros are doing, and I want to get to them as fast as possible, and be making steady progress. So I'm trying to work in the second chart into my daily charting. But anyways, I mostly trade NQ every day. I used to trade, you know, used to try to trade stuff like Apple and those big tech stocks and stuff. But when you trade futures, you want to be trading these indices, right? Because these indices are super, super, super high volume, really juicy price action. It has everything you need. So I basically only trade NQ now. But anyways, so getting down to the charting, I started with the 1 hour liquidity zones, right? So I saw there was a pretty nice 1 hour sell side here, 1 hour buy side. I label it that way because, when I usually am going to start on the 1 hour just to see what's going on and, what the past action was. So you guys can see down here that pretty much after this big displacement up that the market was taking a break. And, this is Thursday pretty much overnight, so it makes sense. And here's Friday during the day. I did not trade that Friday. But again, I saw that sell side liquidity, and first thing I'm going to do is mark those zones. So I'm pretty much working within this bracket, like exclusively. And I can tell here that buy side was just taken Wednesday, Thursday night, right? So this right here is my very interesting attempt at writing an SMT. So please let me know if I'm doing this absolutely wrong. But I personally feel like that what I've seen is the SMT when, one takes one high and the other one doesn't, or one takes a low and the other one doesn't. So I believed that this was an SMT at the time, but this is a really good example of, me not being entirely sure if what I'm doing is perfectly correct. So please correct me if that's not right. And so I saw buy side was taken, and I know my range is within this 1 hour zones, right? So zooming down in, we go to the 15-minute, and we see that there was a big drop, right? A big drop off Thursday afternoon, right? So see kind of consolidatory action here, not anything too good. That was giving me a few warning signs in the morning when I was, looking for good opportunities. But again, another SMT here that I thought was an SMT. So please correct me on this if I'm wrong. But this one I believe a little more in than the first one. So this was telling me that, we're going bearish, kind of. And now we're getting into market open. So this is yesterday morning. And I could see here that a buy side was taken. What time is this? 9:45, right? So this buy side, I remember drawing closer to my trade. So I'm going to ignore that for now, because the fact that I didn't write a time marker on that and on this one either, these were probably buy sides I was trying to see for when I placed my trade, like where is my take profit target at. So let's just ignore that for now. But these 15-minute buy zone and sell zone, I definitely wrote down. So I saw that there was a buy side liquidity here in the 15-minute and there was a sell side here. So because I was kind of bearish on the 1 hour, since they kind of took that buy side just recently, I thought that we were working down towards the 15-minute sell side. So it's not a surprise to me that this wasn't taken. And I remember when market opened that I was a little bit surprised that the sell side was taken pretty quickly, because I expected a move upwards first before coming back down. But it's market open. If you guys are inexperienced, you probably trade market at open. And because that's what I did all the time, and I sometimes still do, but I now know that I should stay away from it most of the time because it is just so unpredictable. And most of my winning trades in the morning were actually at market open, and that's something that played into my mentality, believing that I needed to go back and fix it, because you never know what's going to happen market open. You just never know. And that's something I've really learned from watching good traders like Justin, is that, like, you have to observe so much more than you predict, because predicting is just a bad habit. So I waited for some action to happen, and I dropped down to the 15-minute. And now that I knew 15-minute sell side was taken, I thought, okay, we might rebalance up a little bit before continuing downwards. And so that's when I saw here, I try to get in a trade here close to before 10 o'clock, but I realized I was too late. I saw this market structure shift, what I believe was one. So again, if you guys don't think this is true, say, Kenneth, you're crazy. That is not a market structure shift. But I thought it was. And I saw that this buy side here was placed. This was when I was really starting to look into the trade. I saw this down here as well, that low. Um, I probably could have drawn that sell side here for the 5-minute, but this buy side 5-minute was really what I was focused on, because again, I was bearish for the day. I saw us take the bearish 15-minute sell side, and I'm believing for, as we drop down in time, we're going to have to rebalance a little bit before continuing down where the market wants to go. So, I don't know what happened here. Got a little bit lost, but there we go. All right, so now this is just market open. We see a little shift here. We place that 5-minute buy side, and we drop here, and this is what I can definitely recognize as a market maker buy model. Like, we are coming down, right? Coming down, hitting that low, and going back up. I've seen this before on the channels. I've seen it when I trade. I can recognize this, and that's something that I'm really glad that is showing my progress, right? So as we go back up now, I'm trying to look for an entry, and I remember drawing a bunch of fair value gaps and looking for something, but you can tell here that the displacement was pretty strong and uncontested. This was pretty much the best opportunity to get in my opinion, because they had a little not even a fair value gap though. It was just an order block, and it touched right in and then went up. So this would have been a pretty good entry with like the take profit right here. Risk probably like this down right here. But I was too late. I remember it was like maybe 10 or 10:01 when I saw this, and I was like, guys, when you see your opportunity pass, do not try to get into that same opportunity. It's just most of the time it's not going to work, and either way it's a bad habit, right? So I was looking for a new entry, and I just recently got the 15-second chart. So if you guys really like day trading and don't like spending a lot of time in your trades, I really recommend getting the 15-second, because it gives you an entire new time frame to work with. And so what I did is I said, okay, I saw a market maker buy model, and it's almost complete, but not quite yet, because we reached a high and, we're leaving another buy side, but I'm sure there's going to be one more rebalance. And that's when I realized, oh, the 15-minute is probably going to replicate my same exact model that I'm looking for. and this could be my chance to make money. So we're just going to jump right to it. So now looking at the 15 minutes, so I want you guys to recognize like my process here. Like I'm starting in the higher and I'm trying to work my way down to surgically get my entry in. And this is kind of what's going to be my recipe for most of these videos. I'm going to try to be starting on the 1 hour, try to get my bracket. I kind of, watching Justin so much, like I just see him as like a god tier artist. Like he looks at the charts and he just paints a picture so beautifully. He can just make the examples out of thin air, and that's something I really appreciate about watching him, because it makes me realize you can you're just training your eye to see the same thing. And so I was able to recognize that 1 minute model, and that there was opportunity for money to be made. So I'm essentially looking for the same thing on the 15-second now. So you can see here, this was completion of some model in the 15-second earlier, right? And now I recognize that there's some action going on here. So let's really go back to, that moment in time, so that, if it seems like, it seems like I just already know what's going to happen. Let's just go back and see like what I would think in that moment. So obviously I knew that I missed the chance to make money, and that is a 1 minute fair value gap, I believe. Let's double check. So boom, yep, that was 1 minute, 1 minute fair value gap I made, and that's when I'm looking for my entry for sure now, because I'm just looking for the same model on the 15-second. I see the touch. I remember I got in the trade just around 10:05. So let's see again. Boom. So wicks down there. I think I actually got in at, let's just pull it up. Let's pull it up. 10:05, right? So I got in 10:05. Boom, right here. I got in. I remember because I set my buy to 1967 flat, right? So here's my model. Oh, that's set my risk down there. So guys, before anything else, before we continue talking about the entry, you have to define your risk. Please define your risk, because my risk saved me on this trade. Saved me, and you're going to see why. So you want a good RR, right? So now I know my take profit is going to be somewhere here. So that's a really good thing about watching that 1 minute play out and waiting for this fair value gap, because now I know exactly where my risk is. I know exactly where my profit is. It looks good to me. Up to this point, I did all the work I had to do, right? So when I click that button to set my, let me just show you, because I imagine some of you like know exactly what I'm talking about, and some of you may not. I'm not going to know, right? So let's just go into the platform itself and see, what I mean when I say I'm going to set my buy here, so my risk here and my profit here. All right, so I come into the account. This is how I always do it. I always chart on TradingView, and then, when I see an opportunity, I just tab over and I just set my thing in. So I have my stop loss and profit around $9 and $27, and usually when I click it, I just adjust it right after to whatever I want. So that's exactly what I did here. I clicked, I saw this touch here, and I said, okay, if we're going to come back in one more time to, complete our model and then go upwards, I'm going to buy in here. And I probably could have bought in a little lower. I could have actually bought in right there. But again, I'm not a super efficient trader yet. So I'm still really glad that I did this trade. And so we got in, whipped down a little bit. Let's see what happens now. Let's do it a little bit slower. So I remember in my mind here, especially with a lot of inexperienced traders like me, is that we get in a trade and we just get so nervous. Like we just don't like it. Like we're just biting our nails. We're just waiting for the right opportunity to just get out of the trade, or just, like take whatever we got. Like those are all bad habits, man. If you did all of the work up until this moment, starting at those higher time frames, doing all the work you had to do to get to this moment where you think this is going to happen, not even think, where you're observing this is the price action. Don't don't wuss out of your trade. Just let it run. Let yourself get to the risk. Let it stop you out, because it will teach you at the very least about how to have better risk management, right? Look at that. Look at how low that wicked. I remember this was like a minute after I got in the trade. It wicked just $1 above my risk. right? So one thing you guys really should like take from this video is that don't place your stop right at the bottom of the fair value gap, because wicks will go under those PDRAs. They will sometimes, because they know that people are placing them right on the fair value gap. The stock market is so efficient and so smart. That's what keeps me doing this every day, because I just have respect for it, right? So I'm really glad that I had the discipline not to freak out here, and that I let that wick down and then continue up, right? Because even when you survive this, you're saying to yourself, "Oh, like I should just take the profit now before it happens again." But dude, like I said, let it play out, let yourself learn. So trade continues, boom, 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 goes down one more time, and then bam, does exactly what I want. And look, it just continues on. And I know when I watch a lot of YouTube videos that they always say like, don't make profit on a trade and then go back and see how high it really went. Like, oh, this, it went up to 95, 75, and I only pulled that at 91. I missed $4. $4 times, 20. So I missed $80 on the trade. Bro, this trade, in my opinion, was my best trade up to date. And I'm so proud of that, because this was entirely my recipe. This was entirely my work. I took a big break last week, as you guys can tell, on the trading, because I had a loss of confidence this day, because I kept pushing it. I kept doing strategies and recipes that I was really kind of just trying to copy, not really like put my own twist on it, have my own, say this is mine, So that's why I say this is my best trade yet, because I know this was all my work. I took a break and I went back and I said, okay, let's try this out today. And I did, and it went perfectly. So I'm not going to come here and say like, oh, I left $80 on the table, right? So after this happens, I believe that the model was complete, and soon after, I'm pretty sure it just went and rebalanced back down like it should have. So, let's just verify that. It's a little slow. Let's just go to the 1 minute, because I'm sure we can just cancel the replay. All right. So, within that whole model of me thinking, I missed the 1 minute, like, oh, I don't have a chance to trade now, I got my opportunity just right here. And that's why I really liked having the 15-second, because this would have been, this wouldn't have really made sense to do in the 1 minute, because you can see that all these wicks are covering the other ones. There's no displacement here. There's not much. I mean, you could have done on the 1 minute, but I mean, bro, props to you if you can trade this on the 1 minute. But soon after we took that buy side, we just bounced down, and that's why I was really glad as well that I didn't pay too much attention to these buy side levels and like that one either. Because if you're going on the 15-second and you're seeing it go up and you're expecting it to go all the way up here, you're insane. You have to make sure that your liquidity levels are respective to your time frames, because that liquidity level is more respective to like the 5 minute than it is to the 15-second. Like if this was the model here for like a 5 minute, if it was really going to go down lower like this and then come back up, then that's when I would think it would come up here. But that's only after I observe like this displacement and then it get held and then it move upward again. I'm not trying to predict. I'm waiting to observe that happen and just have it verified. So soon after this model was complete, it just bounced down, and then the rest of the day was pretty much just downwards, right? So, and then that takes us to today, where this is the AM session, Asia session, London session. I don't really care about those, because as you can tell, I'm looking for quick scalps. I really want to be a scalper when I'm trading. And if you guys are wondering, what kind of risk I'm doing, like I said, I do $9 and I try to take 27, but that's on the ticks. That's ticks, not profit. So I'm usually trading one mini, and I recommend if anyone's doing a 50K account to trade 5 micros, because that is truly the perfect size for the 50K account. But I like trading one mini because I like pushing limits, and I've recognized now that you can't trade more than one mini a day on it. But if you do one good trade with a mini, even if you lose, this $8 risk is only $160. So the 50K can handle that, because if you guys aren't familiar with the rules on here, you can't lose more than 1,000 on a day. And if you're trying to do more than at least one trade a day and you're losing more than 200 per trade, you're pushing it. So I like to just do one mini on the 50K. And if I happen to do more than one trade, which most of the time I'm not, because I can recognize how much my mentality changes after that one trade. If I do, I'm just going to size down to half the size, which is five macros. Right. So sorry. Um, so technically for this trade, I do one mini. So that means that those $8 is risking 160, and I ended up profiting 480. So that was a really good day to me, and that was more than enough for me to walk away and go to class. So yeah, this is pretty much what my YouTube videos are going to be like. It's going to be me going over the trade, what I was thinking, how I think I did, because that's by far the most important part. This is, everyone's progress is individual, and someone could see this and be like, "Oh my God, like, you're so good," or they could look at this and say, "I'm still a rookie." So, you know, either way, I'm glad I'm doing this because everybody gets to see this now. People that don't even know me can watch this and judge it, and or even give me feedback. Tell me something that I didn't know before. Like I said with the SMTs, with the market structure shift, sometimes I could be wrong. So if somebody, now that I'm posting these, somebody can help me progress even quicker. It's just amazing. So that's what these videos are going to be like. I'll probably post another video soon after I do another trade, back test it, see how the first video did, and we'll go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe if you guys are interested in seeing more stuff like this, and I hope you guys have a good day.